One of the things that often cropped up when I'm talking to devotees, particularly in ISKCON, there is this perception or this idea that there is another organization that exists today called the Gaudiya Mat. That the Gaudiya Mat in kind of Gaudiya Vaishnavism is a rival organization to ISKCON. Maybe it has its own festivals, maybe it has its own acharyas. And there's this perception from devotees in ISKCON, which is the mat that I'm part of, that the Gaudiya Mat exists as this kind of rival competitive agency or organization. Well, any historians out there, any historians listening or watching will know that the Gaudiya Mat hasn't actually existed since 1937. Some 85 years this year. The Gaudiya Mat, the organization founded by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Thakur in 1918, hasn't existed for a long time. As with the passing away of any religious leader, any charismatic religious leader, religious groups, organizations often go through, they often experience some tough times. There's often a competition over who the next leader should be. There's often debates and arguments over how the organization is going, how, in this case, how the Gaudiya Mat was going. And no real strong agreement was reached on the future harmonious existence of the Gaudiya Mat in 1937, after Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur passed away. So ultimately, the Gaudiya Mat really split into two groups: the Gaudiya Mat, the Chaitanya Mat, and the Gaudiya Mission. So those of you watching or listening in the UK, you would have heard of the Gaudiya Mission UK. So the Gaudiya Mission UK, which was founded in 1933 in London, is kind of a sister. It's now a sister network or sister mat of the Gaudiya Mission in India. So the Gaudiya Mat as a separate entity, in contrast to ISKCON, hasn't actually existed for like 85 years. But often you hear devotees in ISKCON talk about the Gaudiya Mat like it's some other organization, this kind of whole them and us mentality. In fact, there's lots of mats. Those of you that read my book, The Hare Krishnas in Britain, will know that in the UK we have at least 20 mats, different branches, different sub-branches of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in the Sarasvat line. That's not the Nityananda line, that's the Sarasvat line. Different mats, different offshoots. And I remember chatting to one devotee in, I won't say which mat actually, one devotee in East London last summer. And he said, Narada, why do devotees in ISKCON all kind of lump us all together? Why do they put us all like in the same group or the same mat? And in one sense, I felt I had to apologise on ISKCON's behalf, because there was this kind of arrogance or ignorance over, sorry, a dog just ran up and tried to attack me, but thankfully I'm fine. There is this arrogance or ignorance from people that think that the Gaudiya Mat exists as a separate rival entity, and it doesn't. What I want to do is quickly go over some dates in terms of different mats that were founded after 1937. I want to go through them kind of chronologically so people fully understand and recognise that in the Sarasvat line, and that's all the offshoots of the Gaudiya Mat, we're actually quite a rainbow group. We're quite a rainbow collection or potential collection of different organisations. The first mat to be formed, with the exception of the two offshoots, the Gaudiya Mission and the Sri Chaitanya Mat in 1937-38. The mats that were then to be formed after that were kind of by disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati, that dog keeps running up to me, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. You had the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti in 1940. Now, though any kind of Gaudiya Vaishnava historians out there will know that the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti had three founders, and I have to confess the name of one of them has escaped me, but it was founded by Keshava Maharaj, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, who founded Acharya of ISKCON, known as Abhay Charan at the time, and another devotee. So the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti was founded in its own right as a separate entity in 1940. A year later, in 1941, you had the Sri Chaitanya Sarasvat Mat, founded by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. A bit further down the line, you had the Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Mat, founded in 1953 by Bhakti Ballabha Tirtha Maharaj, another disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. A bit further down the line then, you've got ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in New York, by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada in 1966. And then sticking with the first generation, because there's second and third generation offshoots as well. Sticking with the first generation, the Sri Gopinath Gaudiya Mat wasn't founded until 1989 by Pramod Puri Maharaj, another disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So the point I'm trying to get across is the Gaudiya Mat as a single separate entity hasn't actually existed in its own right since 1937-38. And this idea that it's ISKCON and different... There's the dogs, you see? ISKCON... I'm not afraid of dogs, thankfully. ISKCON as a singular entity versus the Gaudiya Mat as a singular entity is completely wrong. It's a massive error. Actually, ISKCON, in terms of sociological understanding, ISKCON is an offshoot of the Gaudiya Mat, or it certainly comes from its parent organization, the Gaudiya Mat, because the founder Acharya of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada, his guru was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So really, if we're going to try and build bridges and try and understand different mats and where they're from and principles and values and mission statements, we need to just call them by their right name. It's a very basic thing, calling things by their kind of correct name and their right name. That would really help in terms of understanding where we are in the Gaudiya Vaishnava world. And this is only in the Sarasvat line. I know devotees that have left ISKCON and actually taken initiation in the Nityananda line from Babaji, such as Sri Rama Maharidas Babaji, who's got a lot of followers in Glastonbury, Anantadas Babaji, he's got some followers in the UK, Sri Vinod Viharidas Babaji, who's now passed away or left his body, is the technical term. So even in the Sarasvat line, which technically are very close cousins to us, to those of us that are in ISKCON, we need to at least get the names right of who we're referring to. Otherwise, building bridges and, trying to spread Krishna consciousness over the world by sharing resources is never really going to happen. So that's my rant for today. The Gaudiya Mat, at least institutionally, some people might sociologically identify with it or emotionally identify with it, but institutionally, the Gaudiya Mat hasn't existed for 85 years. Hare Krishna.